Large group of strangers has gathered inside an unknown ruined place. A man asks aloud, "Where are we?" and adds, "I'm a mechanic." Another man replies, "I don't know," and states his profession. He runs a carpentry shop. A heavyset man grumbles, "I don't even know why I'm here." A girl calls out someone's name, Jenna, and he lived in a remote forest. Another man says, "I'm a former soldier," and admits, "I don't know anything either." His name is Islat. These become the main characters. They start arguing among themselves. "Were we pulled here by magic? Is this some experiment?" One man snaps, "Don't talk nonsense." Another says, "First we need to gather information." Suddenly a voice from the back says, "What rubbish are you all spouting?" A woman appears in front of them, stern, composed. She announces, "The master has opened the thread of time and space. You must be ready to fight." Everyone grows anxious and confused. She introduces herself, "I am Fairy. I manage this place." She warns them, "Stay within your limits. If you don't want to die, keep your hands to yourself." At that moment, a man stumbles in from behind, staggering, and asks angrily, "You didn't bring us here, did you?" Fairy replies coolly, "Keep your distance." The man draws a sword. "After kidnapping us, you can't just tell us this. I'll force the truth from your mouths." Fairy snaps, "Stop acting foolish. If you insist, be prepared to die." The man releases his full power and shouts at her. Fairy chuckles and asks, "Why are you acting like?" He steps forward and proclaims, "You won't teach me any lessons." Suddenly blood bursts from his neck, his head separates from his body, blood sprays everywhere. A notification appears, this player committed suicide due to stress. Shock and horror wash over everyone. Fairy K makes a strange face. She says, "If anyone even touches him, the defense system will activate and they'll die right here." Then a system notification arrives, party has been formed, drag and drop the heroes. Fairy looks up. "The master has started everything," she says. For those who join the party, a star icon appears beside their names. Fairy tells them to get ready. She leads them to a large door. "This is the gate of space and time," she explains. A bell-like pale blue light pours from the doorway and the door slowly opens. Faces show fear and bewilderment. Fairy warns, "If you don't want to go beyond this door, you will have to die here." From the back, someone objects. It's our main character, Islat. He says, "We're supposed to claim this tower, right? Then we need weapons. At least give us some basic weapons. We can't be sent to die empty-handed." Fairy stands aside thinking the system has added a star. They're officially registered. The team needs gear. Fairy activates the system and tells her master, "These heroes have no equipment. Give them at least basic battle items." The system complies. Nearby, a large man, a bear of a man, looks at Islat suspiciously and Islat if he knows anything about this place. Islat replies, "Not much. I've been here once long ago." Islat gestures toward an empty area. "Go there and pick up weapons." They obey and head out. Everyone grabs a weapon, some pick up clubs, others swords. Fairy tells them to step through the doorway. As soon as one of them touches the gate, he recoils in fear. Fairy orders, "Shut up and go inside." Jenna the girl watches Islat and wonders aloud why he doesn't have even an E-rank shield. She asks him why they need weapons. Islat snaps back, "Stop asking so many questions, just go inside and kill anything that stands in your way." The pair becomes serious. Fairy grows angry as members of the first party enter, many die. "Second party, you're next," she announces. An old man approaches Fairy and asks, "I can't keep up or fight. Can I stay here?" Fairy refuses. Jenna grabs him and pulls him along. Everyone looks worried, but Islat moves forward with confidence and they all enter. Inside, the surroundings glow. They are in a temple. A notice appears, "Claim the tower to save the world." Islat says, "Get ready, the gate is opening." Light surrounds them and they are teleported elsewhere. When they finally see where they've arrived, dread fills them. This is the tower's first floor. Goblins start attacking. They're all level 3. Islat face tightens with concern. He warns, "If you refuse to fight, you'll die." But many panic and drop their weapons, fleeing. The girl Jenna becomes scared. She asks the old man who had earlier tried to remain, "Is moving painful for you?" He walks forward and collapses into an invisible barrier. Seeing this, both she and Islat get angry. Jenna asks, "Do I have to kill them all to get back out of here?" Islat asks, "Do you know how to shoot arrows?" Jenna replies, "My father is a hunter, so I can shoot." They agree, ignore the fleeing, focus on killing the enemies. The goblins swarm. Islat draws his shield and sword and prepares for battle. The goblins leap at him and attack. Some strike his shield and do significant damage to it. Behind him, Jenna readies her bow and arrow, standing prepared to support. The fight begins. Islat remembered playing a famous game called Pick Me. Then a major update arrived. Everything changed. While he was playing, warning messages began flashing through the system. One of the players had reached level 999. The character turned slowly to face Islat. Looking straight at him, the player said, "I have found you." Islat's eyes snapped open. He had been pulled inside the game. The world he reappeared in was nothing but flames, a burning landscape. Goblins attacked him from behind. Terror painted his face. He couldn't accept what was happening. A goblin lunged at him with a sword. Islat barely managed to block, struggling with all his strength. He threw the goblin's blade aside, then, gathering every ounce of power, struck the goblin down with a fatal blow. He pressed forward and came upon a familiar place. A door opened and a girl teleported out, a 4-star knight. She looked at Islat and asked, "Did you summon me here?" She introduced herself as a knight of the night and teased, "Your name is strange." Without waiting, she single-handedly cut down every goblin around them and cleared the stage effortlessly. Then the hard stage began, the exact moment meant to enhance a hero. That's when Islat met Fairy in the book-like interface. Fairy scrolled through and said, "There's no entry for anyone named Islat." Confused, she asked him if he was an Earth class or Arth player. He answered yes. Suddenly, Islat was pulled back into the lobby. The system activated, his body began to glow. This was a synthesis enhancement, a mechanic that combines two heroes, consuming one as a sacrifice so the other rapidly powers up. The problem was obvious. Islet was a 1-star hero while the female knight was 4-star. He feared he would be the one consumed. But unexpectedly, Islet power surged. The female knight started to vanish. Islet cried out, "This makes no sense, you're 4-star, you should be the one to get stronger." She smiled and said, "I didn't juice anything, I'll leave this to you," and then disappeared. Back in the present, one player had already died and been returned to the lobby. Others ran in panic. Jenna urged them, "We have to fight here, otherwise we're dead." Islet struggled through combat. He barely managed to kill the goblins. He called out to the girl, but as she came from behind, a goblin bit her. Enraged, Islet swung his shield and killed the goblin. Memories flooded him. The level 999 monster had once trapped him in something like this. Anger twisted his aura into something dark. Together, Islet and the girl cut down the remaining goblins. Jenna ran up and worriedly said, "Your hand is badly injured." Islet brushed it off. "I'm fine, let's get moving, we'll check it later." Above them, an eye opened and began observing everything. Islet stared up at it and snarled, "Are you enjoying this? Watch me, I'll survive until the end." Fury burned in his eyes. They cleared the first stage. The party leveled up and received rewards. Islet was named MVP. Out of 10 players, 8 died, only 2 survived. He finally accepted the reality of the game and began to train. Thinking of all those who had died and sacrificed themselves, Islet pushed harder than ever. He reached level 5 and threw himself into grueling training, perfecting his body, honing his sword techniques because he wanted revenge. Jenna approached him. "Why are you doing all this?" she asked. He replied, "I'll kill every one of the masters." Jenna, with her own resolve, began training seriously too. In a single move, she could land a headshot. Islet told her, "It's your first proper fight and you're really good." Jenna reached level 2 and was confirmed as a low-rank archer. Islet considered helping her more. She said she had to get out no matter what, and the two clasped hands. "We'll be teammates, we'll get out of here," they promised. Islet called for Islet. She appeared and snapped, "Don't ever call me like that," and warned, "I won't answer your questions, you'll find the answers inside the tower." Islet asked about the Master's quest and about time here versus Arth's time. Islet refused to answer, but Islet discovered that the 2 times were different, which troubled her. Jenna came up and asked what they were talking about. Islet explained they had cleared the initial mission, but the tower had a total of 100 stages they all had to clear. That meant training, they had to become stronger. For now, only the 2 of them remained. The Master could summon other players later. After a full day, they started to understand this world better. Clothes, food, and basic supplies would appear automatically. Training produced different results from playing Pick Me. They didn't gain levels as quickly, but they did gain experience and improved skills, and their physical strength increased. One day ended and they returned to the lobby. The Master began summoning again. New players appeared, no time wasted, and were told to prepare for the fight and collect weapons. The time and space gate opened again, and without hesitation, Islet and the others entered. Some of the newly equipped players turned hostile and tried to attack Islet, but Jenna held them back. The gate closed and Islet ordered them to enjoy themselves. Then they were transported to floor 2. The objective was clear: kill every enemy. Jenna and Islet stayed alert, but the newly summoned players were still confused. Monsters attacked once more. This time it wasn't just goblins. Level 4 wolves joined the assault. The monsters struck, but Islet was ready. He counterattacked from the front, killing a wolf in a single strike and cleaving it in 2. Islet turned sharply. A wolf howled behind him, leaping for his neck. Without flinching, Islet shoved his shield straight into its jaws. The beast struggled wildly as he swung his sword with divine speed, sending the wolf crashing away. He drew his blade back, eyes sharp and cold, and in one clean strike shredded the creature into pieces. His face showed exhaustion, but he stood firm. "What about the goblins?" he asked. Everywhere, goblin corpses lay scattered, arrows piercing their bodies. Jenna stood among them, calmly lowering her bow. She had killed every last one. Islet ran to her, shouting, "Stop, they're already dead, don't waste any more arrows." A notification appeared, stage cleared. Their rewards were greater this time, and no one had died. As soon as the system message faded, a flash of light pulled them back to the lobby. Even after victory, their faces carried disappointment. Suddenly, the ground shook and a voice echoed, "You will proceed to the 3rd floor." Islet muttered, "What's happening now?" Another notification: "Master has logged out." He sighed in relief. Fairy appeared, yawning, "I'm exhausted." Islet snapped, "We did all the work, why are you tired?" Ignoring him, she glanced at the timer. "Next floor opens in 3 days." Islet checked his stats. "Level 6 and my training methods improving. My body's tougher now." New players spawned, among them a nervous boy named Shiva. "Why do we have to fight? Where are these monsters coming from? Why are we even here?" they asked, panicking. Islet thought to himself, "How do I even explain this to them?" They wanted results without effort and yet complained about fighting. He clenched his fist. "People like them won't last long here." Then came the talk of stars. Those with 2 stars were called mercenaries, players capable of being summoned by masters. 3-star players were even rarer, elite fighters. Islet realized that every star represented power and a reason to keep fighting. Jenna glared at the confused newcomers. "Look at how they act, pathetic," Islet scoffed. "Why would I help those useless bastards?" Jenna smirked. "Maybe teaming up wouldn't be so bad, they won't survive long alone anyway." He shrugged. "We'll see." As they talked, one of the new players, a tall man, approached Islet, ignored him, but the man grabbed his collar angrily. Islet instantly punched him, sending him to the ground. "You're standing behind us doing nothing and you're angry," Islet growled. The man muttered, "It was a mistake," and hurried away. Jenna laughed softly. "Feeling better now?" Islet sighed. "Yeah, maybe a little." They returned to the training ground. Islet's sword slashed through training dummies, fast, precise, and powerful. His swordsmanship had reached level 2, and his shield technique was now level 2 as well. Even after hours, he didn't stop. Jenna fired multiple arrows at once. Islet blocked them with his sword and shield, but one arrow pierced his leg. Blood spilled. Jenna rushed over. "You okay?" "It's nothing," he lied through gritted teeth, yanking the arrow out. His leg trembled, but he kept training. His relentless practice created something new, a fusion between his sword and shield techniques, forming a combined skill of level 3. Back in the lobby, Fairy appeared furious. "Don't cause me any more trouble," she barked. Jenna stretched her arms and smiled. "After all that training, this is finally getting fun." Islet chuckled. "Seems like you're better than me." She grinned. "You're not bad yourself compared to that player." The new players appeared again. "We don't want to fight, we want to go home," they shouted. Fairy expression darkened. She punched one so hard he flew into the air. "Don't annoy me again," she hissed, then began slaughtering the others in cold blood. Smoke filled the lobby. From within it came cries, "Save me!" Islet and Jenna froze, shocked at the chaos. Moments later, floor 3 unlocked. Goblins charged again, but this time Islet and Jenna didn't flinch. Their techniques were sharper, their speed deadly. Islet drove his sword through a goblin's face, smashing another with his shield. To them, floor 3 was nothing. They cleared it without rest, while the 3 new players again did nothing. Islet muttered, "Good, I didn't want to share my experience points with them anyway." Then unexpectedly a message flashed. "You are required to re-enter floor 1. What again? They wondered, confused. They were teleported back, facing the same low-rank goblins. Jenna killed them effortlessly, not even breaking a sweat. Round after round, they repeated the same stages. Exhaustion set in. "Why does the master keep sending us back?" Jenna groaned. "Maybe just for today," Islet replied, but then system notice master synthesis has begun. The 3 of them stared at the screen, confused. Islet whispered, "Hero or sacrifice, one will die. Those idiots don't even realize it yet." The announcement continued. "There are 6 chambers in this dimension: the synthesis chamber, the crack of space and time, the armory, the flying dock, the training hall, and finally the summoning hall." And with that, the tower began to change again. The chamber gate opened. Islet stared at the doorway like it was a sliver of chance, small but real. Outside the screen, small events were unfolding. The master watched everything and could tell who fought bravely and who slacked. Islet jabbed a finger at a trembling player, urging her to enter the synthesis. The girl panicked. Islet stepped forward calmly. "It's okay, nothing will happen to you," he said. A frightened player turned to Islet. "If we go in, what happens to us?" he asked. Islet answered bluntly, "Judge that for yourself, you know what you signed up for." The man opened his mouth in a silent scream, insisting he'd been dragged here against his will. Time slowed. Islet snapped, "Nobody cares about your complaints." Even she admitted aloud, "For the first time, I agree with you," when she saw the fear on his face. "Things would have been different if you tried," Islet cut in. "Stop talking, just go." The gate slammed shut. A system prompt blinked. "Will you choose synthesis?" The man wailed, "How can you do this to us? Get me out." Blue flames enveloped his body. After a moment, Jenna stumbled out, pale and shaken. "Something strange happened. His life turned to light and he vanished," she whispered. Islet's voice went cold. "Useless people are sacrifices." Terror spread across the remaining faces. Islet looked between 2 players. "Which of you will it be then?" he wondered aloud. Islet pointed and shouted at one man to go. Islet moved forward without another word. Inside, the man screamed and laughed as if possessed. "He's going home now," someone scoffed. Islet was flat. "Believe whatever you want." Moments later, the system announced, "Synthesis complete." Light consumed the second man and he disappeared. Islet succeeded. He leveled up and a new skill unlocked, Composer. As the light closed over the vanished player, Islet walked past him and said casually, "Today was your lucky day." Jenna, shaken, muttered, "Master things. Once you're useless, you just vanish in that room." Islet shrugged. "What's your problem now?" After the companions had gone, Jenna flinched. "Would I end up like them if I became useless?" she asked. Islet warned, "The higher the floors, the stronger the monsters. People either survive, become tools, or end up sacrificed." Jenna nodded. "We all know that," she said. Islet K reminded her of his father's lesson. "If you want to live, do what's required." Jenna hesitated. "Am I on the right path?" Then the next day she bowed and said, "I'll be in your care." Islet teased, "Did you eat something weird? Why are you suddenly so formal?" Jenna answered, "You said you'd protect me if I stood by your side. I'm telling you clearly, take care of me." Islet replied pragmatically, "If you do what's needed, you won't die, don't worry." A man who had done little so far approached, ashamed, and begged for a chance. "Keep me with you, give me one chance." Islet measured him. Jenna urged trust. Islet hesitated. He tossed the man a spare weapon as a test. "Have you ever fought the master?" Islet asked. The man hadn't. Islet threw the spare into his hands and said, "How can I trust you?" The man protested, then admitted he didn't know much, but the weapon was simple, a medium-range spear, easy to learn. Islet explained tactics fast: close sword, medium spear, long bow. Those 3 positions cover everything. With nothing, that combo is one of the most effective. He pulled out a wooden sword and handed it over. The nervous man asked, "If we have to fight, will you teach me?" Islet's answer was blunt, "How can I teach you? I taught myself." Then, to harden him, Islet launched a rapid sequence of strikes, ruthless practice meant to force instinct. "Be grateful someone's actually training you," Islet snapped. The man panicked, spun the spear with his eyes closed, and froze. Islet delivered a sharp kick to the gut. "How can you close your eyes in the middle of a fight?" He barked. The man collapsed. Jenna scolded softly, "It was his first day, don't be so harsh." Islet replied, "We don't need burdens, throw them away if they can't keep up." Then Islet asked quietly, "Do you have family?" The man choked out, "I have a sister, she's waiting for me." Islet fixed him with a hard stare and placed the man's oath against his neck, a reminder of what was at stake. "What happens to your sister if you never return? If a monster kills you, that will hurt her worse than anything. Better to vanish in synthesis than to leave her suffering." The man's anger flared. Vislet only laughed. "My eyes see far," he said. A system message flashed. New option: build the greater arsenal. Creation required 500 crystals. The notification added that the blacksmith would become available after building the arsenal. Relief washed over the group. "Now we can live more freely," someone breathed. Islet called. "Come out if you're around." Fari appeared indignant. "You can't order me like that." Islet smirked. "I'm bored, say something new." Islet, annoyed, playfully struck him. Islet teased back. "You were the one sending types to anything, right? Can you hack the system? Can you access the net?" Islet rolled her eyes. "I browse a little in my free time," she admitted. Islet laid out priorities. First the training center, then 10 weapons, then foraging. Islet asked how he knew all this. Islet shrugged. "Someone uploaded an official form of Pick Me, I studied it." Islet smiled and corrected him. "No, you're a low-rank character on the lower floors. Loki, the master of masters, the lord of the game, would definitely be first place with at least a 7-star hero." A player gushed about Loki. "He makes the impossible possible, magnificent." Islet surprised Islet by apologizing for something small. She blinked. Then Islet looked her in the eye and said simply, "I'm Loki." At that precise moment a notification popped. Building upgrade complete. After the battle, the fairy fluttered away in a huff, screaming that this whole thing had to be a stupid joke. Islet frowned and read the account number aloud, 46,631,900. He explained, cold and precise, that to prevent hacking the account number is known only to the owner and the server managers. "You can check it or give me a different email," he said. The fairy typed the number, then froze. This can't be," she whispered, eyes wide. She bowed her head, her cheeks burned red. Then suddenly she demanded breathlessly that Islet autograph something. She wanted to be the coolest member of Loki's fan club. Islet signed, annoyed. Afterward he asked, half disgusted, "What are you even talking about?" "The fan club of Loki, the master of all masters," she squealed. "If I get your autograph, I'll be top level." Islet glanced at her, expression unreadable. He told her bluntly he'd never heard of the club. The fairy's whole body trembled as she tried to explain that she'd spoken so boldly to the real Loki. Islet shrugged and muttered, "So what? I'm a 1-star hero, who cares?" The fairy screamed again, "Stop, what will become of the settlement without you?" Islet answered flatly that he didn't know. Then he explained, "We were transferred to a settlement, 30 floors of a massive fortress built for 20,000 people. Most buildings are already upgraded to level 22. Big infrastructure." "But so what? I'm the dungeon master now." The fairy stared, horrified. "What about the residents?" she asked. "Disband the settlement if you care that much," Islet said coldly. Her face went paper-white. "I can't do that," she pleaded. Islet tilted his head. "You're only a mid-level moderator who handles small tasks," he said. "The account master is an Earth person. The heroes summoned here are not AI, they're real people." The fairy protested that the heroes came from different worlds, but they were all human. She tried to introduce the creator, but Islet interrupted. He was just a player who liked to play. For him, the heroes were consumables to be exposed to danger. Hearing that, the fairy's face fell. Islet, displeased, asked bluntly if he could return home if he climbed to the top. "I don't know," she admitted. Frowning, Islet asked the next question. "Who put me here?" The fairy said she couldn't say. While she climbed, he folded his arms and asked what powers and access she actually had. She answered hesitantly. She could advise the master, open and close buildings, and help choose things. Islet pictured the settlement and asked if other masters' cities looked the same. "Mostly yes," the fairy said. He imagined an endless archipelago of worlds, a million islands, a million settlements. Images of summoned heroes swam through his head. The summoning system could create infinite heroes with thousands of skill combinations. The quantum AI everyone boasted about was a lie. The heroes weren't advanced machines, they were real people. The system offered endless content across a million worlds. With a button on his phone, Islet realized what happened in the game was real, and his careless actions in the past had condemned many people to die. Annoyed, Islet called the fairy over. He ordered her to listen. If she wanted to climb, they were being transferred to the manhwa. The girl swung her blade and moved with astonishing speed. Islet thought to himself that she was a natural prodigy, advancing far faster than other heroes at her level. She held a dagger for the first time, yet she adapted instantly. Watching a tall man who barely repelled attacks, Islet worried that with such rapid gains the prodigy might die on the battlefield. Pointing back at her, she admitted she'd given in, but it hadn't really helped. Islet snapped that she shouldn't get cocky. The group prepared to leave. The girl looked at him, confused. "What happened? Aren't you going to train your #1 assistant?" Before he could answer, a fairy suddenly appeared, shouting in outrage. "How dare you speak to him like that? I'm his #1 assistant." The fairy puffed up proudly, still yelling, until Islet grabbed her by the wings. "It's not your turn to work," he said flatly. Even from his hand, the fairy squirmed and shouted, "Doesn't matter, I'm still his first assistant." The protagonist stared at her for a moment, sighing inwardly. Maybe it's better not to tell her anything right now. He turned toward the warehouse. "Open it," he ordered. The fairy waved her hand, and the massive steel doors slid open. Inside, Islet and the girl began searching, the system messages appearing one after another. "Iron discovered." Leather discovered, boards discovered, they stepped back into the daylight, opened the forge, Islet said, and the fairy complied. The girl followed with a cart, eyeing him curiously. What are you planning? I'm not going to wield such a mediocre sword forever, he replied. He looked at the blazing forge deep in thought. So I'm half a hero and half a master. He wondered whether he could access the areas meant only for masters. The fairy flew closer. So what are you making? A leviathan weapon, a brunk. In a place like this, he scoffed. A new system window appeared, warning no building upgrade, grade a penalty applied. No master blacksmith, additional penalty applied. No blueprint available, success rate terrible, proceed with creation, the fairy frowned. You're not actually going to make something, are you? Something like that, Islet said quietly, select difficulty level, higher difficulty equals higher rewards. Extreme hell, he answered without hesitation, the fairy gasped, nearly dropping from the air. Extreme hell, that means triple penalties. Just watch, Islet said calmly. He began the creation sequence. System messages flickered rapidly before his eyes. The fairy couldn't even recognize the shape forming in the air. He reached out his hand and grabbed a floating cube of light. It's not a problem, he murmured. Her eyes widened. That's the legendary technique of 1,000 hands. His hands moved in a blur, assembling cubes faster than the eye could follow. Then absolute success, you see, item created. Cunning long sword, the fairy clapped her hands in delight. The cunning long sword is light, sharp, and durable. Mediocre materials perfectly refined. But Islet wasn't done. His hands flew again and more messages appeared. Balanced short bow created. Sharp long spear created. Strong iron shield created. He picked up the weapons, testing their weight. Only C rank, he muttered. The material quality shows. Don't push yourself, the fairy cried. I won't, it might attract attention. I don't need the masters getting suspicious. They moved to the forest. The girl stood tall, her bow drawn. An arrow flashed through the air, one clean hit, and the monster crashed to the ground. Current floor 4 objective, eliminate all enemies. Smiling, she admired her new bow. The draw tension is much stronger now, no one will want to steal this. Islet gave a sharp look. Use the personal weapon function, that'll keep it safe. Several monsters emerged ahead. The master's strange, he muttered, sending us to fight 3 at once. The heroes formed a line. The young man swung his spear wildly to fend them off. Islet gritted his teeth and blocked a blow. System ally is experiencing fear, all stats reduced by 30%. He's losing it, Islet growled. The boy staggered as a harpy's talon ripped across his guard. The girl slammed him across the face. Pull yourself together, she shouted. He touched the blood running down his nose, shaking. Do you understand what's at stake? She screamed. This is your life. The protagonist dashed forward, cutting through the monster's flank. Pull yourself together, he barked. The young man clenched his jaw, extending his spear. I understand. All 3 charged at once, their blades and arrows flashing. Moments later, the last monster fell with a screech. System message, floor cleared. Reward 10,000 gold, iron ore ×3, leather ×2. The boy dropped to one knee, breathing heavily. Sweat rolled down his chin as he looked at the ground. I was just in the way again, he muttered. What's going to happen to me now? Another window appeared before him. You have been added to the master's favorites. He blinked, stunned. Sean looked down at him, arms crossed. You'll live for now, the master just added you to his favorites. The boy's eyes widened. He clenched his fists and shouted with pure joy, I did it. The girl beside him bent down, smiling at Sean. First your first subordinate succeeded, now your second one too. I don't have any subordinates, Sean replied flatly, turning away. He headed toward the warehouse, his thoughts drifting. My first subordinate, that's probably her, my old girlfriend. Images flashed in his mind, 5 figures, all 6-star heroes, each level 99, each carrying divine tier skills and unique powers. Maybe I'll meet them again someday. He remembered his city. This is still just a game, right? The vice master can handle management. She's careful, insured, smart. Smarter than me sometimes. Is that really AI? A memory of a tall tower surfaced in his mind and realization hit him. They're real people. Scene shift. Tower 2 girls stood facing each other. You're really leaving? One asked quietly. The other nodded. Every minute matters now. I'll leave the research to you. Silence filled the corridor. Then the first girl whispered, I hope you find the master. System message. Living area upgraded to level 2. Hero limit of settlement increased. Dining room completed. Hero meals now provide higher recovery bonuses. Scene shift. Training grounds. Training area upgraded to level 2. Training efficiency increased by 30%. Scene shift. Settlement workshop zone 3 structures, forge, carpenter's workshop, and metalworking workshop have merged into equipment workshop. Settlement territory expanded to level 2. The girl's jaw dropped as she watched new buildings materialize one after another. What's happening? She gasped. The boy beside her could only stare. This master, he's a genius. How is this even possible? From a short distance, Sean replied calmly, he just invested money. Guess he likes the game. He looked at the vibrant new structures, noting how the heroes laughed, trained, and talked like living beings. They move like real people because they are real people. He spoke quietly, half to himself. The higher we climb, the better the conditions become. Turning toward the fairy, he added, the user logs in at fixed hours, probably an office worker, someone who explores the game and spends money. The girls smiled. Then we're lucky, at least it's not some broke student. He had enough to buy that 65,000 credit pack. Sean let out a short laugh, lowering his head. Unlike other games, this one doesn't give out crystals for free quests. Even earning them is hard. To meet a player willing to spend real money, that's rare luck. Then his expression froze. A new system alert flashed before his eyes. Master is summoning 10 new heroes. The summoning portal lit up, spilling light across the settlement. The boy turned in shock. That's a summoning rite, Sean smiled faintly. Renovations are finished, he said. Time to celebrate. The house was humming with energy. Islet stood still, imagining cards swirling before his eyes, every hero, every option. There are two ways to summon, he thought, regular summoning for gold and advanced summoning for crystals. Naturally, the second is far more effective. That's how they force players to spend real money. A flash of light illuminated the gate, and suddenly a crowd appeared, confused and frightened. Old man looked around in panic. What's going on? I was home a second ago. Islet's eyes narrowed as he listened to their angry chatter. He raised his sword, pointing directly at the old man. Quiet, he ordered, his voice low and sharp. No one's explaining anything right now. First you survive. Whoever's left after that can ask questions. The fairy flew up beside him, stretching out her glowing hands. Attention everyone, are there any carpenters here? Go to the workshop immediately. Blacksmiths, metalworkers, cooks. Her voice echoed through the settlement as people exchanged nervous looks. Watching her, the girl beside Islet asked softly, what's she doing? Islet closed his eyes. Distributing roles, he said. There are new vacancies now. The fairy pointed to the dead lying near the portal, continuing her instructions. Islet's expression darkened. If those who died before could be summoned again, he murmured, their fate might have been different. This settlement is evolving. A vast fortified city shimmered before them, rising from the earth like a mirage. System message, create a group, drag selected heroes into available slots. Islet crossed his arms. All right, give it your all. You've got low star ratings. Prove your worth. Useless people won't even earn a raw potato. He glanced over the crowd. The master decides who's useful. 1-star heroes will go into the dungeon. Most won't adapt. Most will die, probably starting with him. The fairy pointed toward the glowing portal. Move quickly, system message. A hero has fallen. His fighting spirit will be remembered until the end of time. Islet's eyes hardened. That was fast. The girl beside him frowned. Shouldn't we at least explain things to them? It's pointless, Islet said coldly. If you can't survive the first floor, no explanation will save you. He stared into the swirling light. Two dead, two alive. The crowd trembled, fear spreading among them. One man stepped forward, voice cracking. I can't fight monsters. I'll die out there. Before Islet could reply, his comrade stepped in front of the man. Then I'll go with them. He shouted. The fairy frowned. You shouldn't interfere where you're not wanted. The girl smirked. He's always like this. Islet tilted his head slightly. Fine, let him join. His skills aren't much better than a beginner's, but he can help. Then he looked the man in the eye, voice calm but heavy. I'm glad you want to help, but don't slow them down. The girl stretched her arms and sighed dramatically. Can we just go home and eat normal food already? We've been living on potatoes. Islet glanced at her, noting how relaxed she'd become. She's lost her fear already. Raising his head, he added, the sky's bright today. Feels like someone else watching us. The girl looked up too, like a god. Islet smirked faintly. Maybe, but don't worry, he doesn't care about every word we say. Everything that happens here is filtered, he thought. Summaries, short reports, no one really hears us. A while later the team returned. The newcomer approached Islet, face tired but proud. No one died, he reported. I killed one goblin. Islet nodded slightly. Good enough, time to return. Let's eat something different for once. Scene shift, dining hall. The hall gleamed with new tables and warm light. Islet looked around. It's better now since the dining room has been completed. Meals should improve. If the master sees potential in us, maybe we'll get something decent. The girl's eyes sparkled and her cheeks flushed. Excellent, I want the best lamb steak. The man beside her grinned. I'll take turkey. Islet raised an eyebrow. Why are you even listening to me? A glowing plate appeared before them. Steam rose. They looked down and sighed. Potatoes again. From across the room, the old man shouted in fear, there are too many spices in the kitchen. Dinner was a mess because of the ingredients, only potatoes. Islet frowned, remembering the man's earlier claim that he was a cook. Looking at the trembling man now, he opened the status window and sighed in disappointment. Not even a single cooking skill. Maybe someone else had it. He turned to the girl standing nearby. What's your name? He asked flatly. You're our new cook now. The girl lowered her head, frightened. The man, realizing what that meant, shouted desperately, W8, I can try again, I'll cook something better. Islet studied him in silence for a few seconds, then said, you adapt quickly, but you shouldn't lie. It's easy to tell when someone's bluffing. The man froze, speechless. I'll overlook it just this once, Islet added, his voice cold. A short while later, the table was filled with steaming dishes. The girl took a bite and her eyes widened in amazement. This is delicious. I didn't know you could make so many dishes out of just potatoes. There are plenty of spices in the kitchen, the man muttered, almost embarrassed. Islet picked up his fork, speared a piece of potato and said quietly, eat and listen carefully because I won't repeat myself. He closed his eyes for a moment. Tell the newcomers the same thing, their lives depend on it. Evening fell. Around the fire, people whispered among themselves, eyes wide in disbelief. Is it all true? Someone asked. The girl nodded. I'd never fought before coming here either, so don't worry, you can do it too. The fat man glared ahead. And what about us? We've been turned into cooks. You can still help in other ways, she said calmly. The man looked around nervously. I can also be a carpenter. Islet's cold voice cut through the silence. If you lie again, you'll be the first candidate for synthesis. You'd fit the role perfectly. Everyone went quiet. Islet's eyes swept over them as he continued. Professions in the settlement are safer than combat, but don't get comfortable. Space is limited. If someone with better skills shows up, you'll lose your job and be sent to the battlefield. He imagined the settlement map in his head, then exhaled slowly. Tomorrow, the quiet life ends. The next morning. Only 3 stood before him. Only 3? Islet asked coldly. The girl looked away. The rest, they got scared and went into hiding. Islet's gaze hardened. Fine, I'm sick of basic sparring anyway. Time to try something new. He stepped forward and easily overpowered the new recruits. The stat gap was massive, at least 7 or 8 points. Like a child fighting an adult, he thought. On Earth, such growth would be impossible. He turned to the girl, firing arrows at incredible speed. Her archery's already at level 5, dagger mastery level 2, then to the spearman, still level 2. He trains more than anyone, but the stat growth stopped. His eyes shifted to the 3 new recruits, first level of ball control. Progressing evenly, maybe because of age, still better than the ones hiding. Later that day, the master summoned 10 more heroes. This time, Islet's group handled it without his help. The girl smiled proudly. There are more and more of us now. It'll keep going, Islet said. Only 1 person died during selection. Turning to him, she asked, why hasn't the master sent us to the 5th floor yet? It's been ages since the last cleanup. He stood silently for a few seconds, gaze fixed ahead. Because he's not a fool, he said at last. The 5th floor's difficulty spikes sharply. I haven't decided who to bring yet. In his mind, he visualized the tower. Every 5th floor difficulty skyrockets, like a boss stage. Even he couldn't guarantee survival there. He imagined a storm sweeping over the city. No matter how much we train, people will die. The higher the floor, the deadlier the challenge. Images of hero cards flickered before him. Combat units, all 1-star rank, followed by support class cards. 4th floor battle formation. The heroes lined up in a tight formation. Don't rush ahead, Islet ordered. Your shields now, spears and bows are for the attack. With a unified shout, they charged forward. The harpies shrieked as blades clashed. Even weaklings can win if they stick together, someone shouted. Another knight parried a strike. Teamwork, that's how we win. The spearmen lunged from the flank, landing a clean hit. Instead of fighting for glory, they moved as one. Watching from behind, Islet thought, I could clear this floor alone, but they need this. Teamwork won't build itself. System message, stage cleared. Reward 2,000 gold, iron ore, leather. The group exchanged grins, shaking hands in triumph. Islet's eyes softened slightly. They did well, but the 5th floor, I can't clear that alone. The spearman clapped his comrades on the shoulder. We did it, the girl smiled. You all tried hard. Islet nodded, agreed. Armory later, the master had started logging in less often. From the second batch of 10 heroes, he drew a blacksmith, a tanner, and a carpenter. They worked day and night in the new workshop, crafting mostly E-rank weapons and shields for beginners, while the main group received better gear. Looking at the player's map, Islet noted 3 useless heroes marked for synthesis. They had refused to train and talked only about escaping. Among them was the same man who had once lied about being a cook. A few days later, the spearman stared at his shield. We're going to the 4th floor again. I want to go higher. Islet stood silently, arms folded. Today we're going to the 5th floor. The fairy blinked in surprise. Are you serious? The girl's eyes widened. We're really going up. Islet stepped forward. This won't be a normal clearing. Stay alert, but don't panic. The spearman nodded firmly. Got it. A bright flash erupted in front of them and the world changed. Ruined city. 5 heroes appeared amid shattered buildings and broken stone. The spearman looked around uneasily. No monsters, form up, Islet ordered. We head for the city center. He scanned the surroundings. No monsters, no people. This isn't a normal floor. Suddenly the spearman screamed, Islet, look. A human skeleton lay on the ground. This city's empty, he whispered. The girl stepped forward, her boots crunching on dry dust. There's only old bloodstains here. Islet frowned. There were flowers here before. He looked toward a distant tower. We're heading up there, the girl nodded, glancing around. I see the city ahead. Then she froze. Her expression turned pale. I want to believe I imagined that, she whispered. The spearman raised his head. You saw it too, didn't you? She stared at the ruins for a long time, voice trembling. Everything really is like this. Jenna suddenly lowered her gaze, panic in her voice. Outside the city, a massive horde of goblins. They're heading this way. Islet's eyes narrowed. How many? Thousands, she stammered. A system notification appeared before their eyes. Mission: survive the goblin horde, outlast the attack. The spearman looked up, face pale. You're serious? Do I look like I joke about this? The Jenna shot back. Islet raised his hand. Everyone calm down. The spearman clenched his fists. What went wrong this time? This isn't a floor capture, Islet said coldly. It's a survival mission. We just have to hold out. Another hero approached. Can't we just hide somewhere? No, Islet snapped. We can't stay in the buildings. We have to move now. They ran through the narrow streets. How long do we have to survive? The spearman shouted. 10 minutes, Islet answered grimly. Then he frowned, unlucky. Judging by the pattern of earlier floors, the chance of a survival mission appearing on the 5th floor was barely 9%. Get off the main road, he ordered. Into the alleys. As they regrouped, he added, players always complained heroes were wiped out too easily in low-tier cities. Now we know why. There's no better spot, one asked. They'll break through anywhere, Islet replied. We don't have time to find another place. Form a circle, we hold here. The passages were narrow, perfect for defense. Even if 10,000 come, he said, we can still hold the line. His team nodded. Then we'll try. Islet gave quick orders. Guard every passage, rotate positions, rest whenever you can. He glanced at the archer. You center, save your arrows, fire only when I command. Then he turned to all of them. Build barricades. If they break through even one side, we're finished. He looked up at the dark horizon. 30 minutes, is that game time or real time? Then he saw it, a small goblin crawling through the shadows. It turned, grinning. Timer started. Damn it, we didn't even finish the barricade, Islet shouted, cutting the first goblin in half. More poured in behind it. They're coming, he yelled. Change of plan, we'll build barricades out of their corpses. The girl raised her bow. Shooting on your command. Good, block and strike, don't overthink it, Islet barked. The goblins screamed, pressing forward like a tidal wave. They just keep coming. The spearman shouted. Islet lowered his head, voice cold. Have I ever lied to you? They kept fighting. Goblins spilled out of every alley. We can't die here, Islet thought, swinging his blade. The sun began to rise, light spilling over the blood-soaked street. A goblin lunged and a blade pierced its neck. Rotate, Islet commanded. I can still fight, a soldier argued. Shut up and follow orders, Islet snapped. His arms ached, not enough stamina, not just their levels, their techniques still too weak. He inhaled sharply, one blow, one kill, the most efficient method. He blocked, slashed, blocked again. These monsters are weak, he shouted, no stronger than the ones on the first floor. But there's too many, someone yelled back. Then keep cutting. The archer shifted positions, loosing an arrow. Got one, she cried. Save your breath and keep shooting, Islet said. 10 minutes, right, the spearman gasped. Only 5 have passed, Islet replied grimly. A goblin lunged, the girl kneaded in the chest. Stop climbing over us, then a scream tore through the air. System message, squad member is bleeding, HP will gradually decrease. Switch, Islet ordered, forget him and hold the line. But shut up, he barked. He'll recover later, do your job. The wounded soldier trembled on the ground. Status effect, fear, all attributes percent. Islet cut another goblin in two. Pull yourself together unless you want to die here. Sorry, archer, stop his bleeding. She knelt beside him, wrapping bandages as blood soaked the ground. If you don't fight, Islet shouted, your friend's death will be on you. A goblin attacked from behind Shacelet W and spun, decapitating it. Get out of my sight, he roared, kicking another away. My sword's dull, a soldier cried. Then fight without it, Islet yelled. Use your shield, use your fists if you have to. He turned to the spearman. Switch, I can still go, rest while you can, the girl cut in. Don't be stubborn. 3 minutes left, Islet shouted. Just 3 more damn minutes. Why does half an hour feel this long, he thought. Spearman forward, the girl looked frightened. Don't worry, Islet said. 10 seconds is enough, he turned to her. Support with arrows. She checked her quiver, only 4 left, not enough. Don't hold back, Islet ordered. If they break through, it's over anyway. Understood, she said, loosing 2 arrows that struck cleanly. But one goblin broke through, stabbing a wounded soldier in the stomach. Blood splashed across the dirt. System message. Squad member critically wounded, life in danger. Islet's rage exploded. He charged, cutting through goblins like paper. Jenna froze, terrified, torn between helping or fighting. Hide, switch, another soldier shouted, but the next blow nearly took his head. Islet blocked it just in time, slamming his shield into the monster's jaw and countering with a killing strike. Moments later, a grim notification appeared. Squad member has fallen. His courage will be remembered forever. The surviving warrior clenched his jaw and turned back to the fight. Islet called out to Jenna, forget them, we can't save everyone, without you we're all dead. She bit her lip, nodded fiercely, and drew another arrow. Goblins swarmed the barricade as Islet shouted, hold the line, 10 seconds left, don't let a single one through. A sharp chime echoed in the air. Skill level up, basic dagger technique, right arrow LV3, new skill acquired, fast movement. Jenna's eyes widened. I did it. Islet nodded, making a cross motion with his blade. Good, spend everything you've got on the goblins. If you still have strength to ask about time, then you're not fighting hard enough. Then another notification appeared in front of him. Battle at the limits of strength detected. Hero's soul awakened. Sword and shield mastery, right arrow LV5, pain threshold, right arrow LV2, cold-blooded instinct, right arrow LV3. He deflected a blow with his shield, frowning. Why now? What's the point? If we're all going to die here anyway, a scream tore through the chaos. One of the warriors collapsed, clutching his bleeding arm. Status bleeding, HP will gradually decrease. Islet, save me, he cried, tears streaming down his dirt-streaked face. I don't want to die, Islet gritted his teeth, his eyes burning with frustration. He turned away. Jenna, Nate, with me, the terrified boys' cries echoed behind them as the goblins swarmed him. We'll mourn them when we get out, Islet muttered coldly. They sprinted down a crumbling alley. Notification, your ally has fallen. His fighting spirit will be remembered until the end of time. Jenna slowed, her voice trembling. Are we going to die too? Don't talk nonsense, Islet snapped. Climb that wall now, she turned, startled. You want me to go alone? We'll follow right after. Move. As the goblins charged toward them, Islet readied his sword. We'll have to cut down a few at once, he said through gritted teeth. 1 freak per swing isn't enough. He slashed in a wide arc. Several goblins fell in a single strike. Jenna reached the top. I'm up, hurry, Islet leapt, catching the edge of the roof. Nate, climb on it. Nate grabbed her hand but screamed as a goblin's blade stabbed into his leg. Damn it, Islet dropped back down, slicing the creature apart. Jenna, don't let go, he turned to Nate, eyes hard. We don't have time, I'll have to cut it off. The blade came down. Nate's scream pierced the air. Status bleeding, HP will gradually decrease. Lift him up, Islet shouted, bracing himself. Status, critical condition, life in danger. Below them, goblins began climbing over each other, clawing up the walls. Islet's face twisted in rage. They're using their bodies as ladders, clever bastards. Kill him, he said quietly. Jenna froze. What? Nate, use your spear, don't let him get up, we can't risk it. Trembling, she obeyed. The spear struck, ending it quickly. Her hands shook. He's gone. What do we do now? Kick them off, Islet barked. Use your legs if you have to. The monster's hands clawed at the ledge. How much time's left? Jenna screamed. 30 seconds. It feels like an hour. I said 30 seconds. Hold on. He swung his sword, cutting through another wave. Just survive until the timer. Suddenly, a goblin's hand shot forward, grabbing his shield. It yanked it down, exposing his chest. Without hesitation, Islet raised his blade to strike, but the goblin was faster. Its dagger plunged deep into his stomach. The creature grinned, its teeth sharp and wet with blood. You bastard, Islet hissed, trembling, gripping his sword. The blade withdrew, blood pouring out. Pain exploded through his body. He fell to one knee. Status bleeding. HP will gradually decrease. Nearby, Jenna screamed as another goblin slashed her arm. Status bleeding. HP will gradually decrease. They were surrounded, a sea of red eyes and snarling mouths closing in from every side. The goblin's eyes fixed on the boy as he knelt, convinced this was the end. He bowed his head, thinking he would die here on the 5th floor of all places, and the thought felt unbearably hollow. Why had he been dragged into this abyss of fear? Why did he have to endure this torment when none of it made sense on Earth? Rousing himself, Islet's gaze snapped open, furious, burning. He demanded the answer again. Why? Then, without warning, he fell upon the goblin before him and cleaved it through. Freaks, he spat, and something in him snapped. The Berserker mode ignited. His eye had darkened, the pupil rimmed red. He looked straight at the horde, shifting the blade aside as if to dare them. There's no reason to fear now, he warned. A maddened goblin lunged. Islet met the assault and slaughtered every attacker in reach. Limbs and gore scattered the floor. With a wild look, he shouted for them to come on while the system confirmed it. Berserker skill awakened. The monsters froze, staring in fearful shock at the frenzied human. Jenna watched, barely able to breathe. Every fiber of her body screamed. Islet inhaled once, then with feral bloodlust dared them to try killing him. He cleaved another goblin and swore he would not fall. He tore across the battlefield, splitting enemies apart. At one point, his blade shattered into several fragments. The goblins cheered at the sight, thinking themselves relentless, but Islet pushed forward anyway. Even if he had to fight barehanded, he vowed he would not stop. He launched into the mass with single-minded fury. The battle timer hit 0, and then, as if on cue, the goblins' colors drained and they froze in place. Islet looked on in stunned silence as the horde locked mid-motion. Jenna and he watched the scene unfold, dumbfounded. Nearby, Nate lay on the roof, somehow still alive. A system window appeared, floor cleared, the group's levels rose. Islet was named MVP. Rewards poured in: 5,000 gold, iron ore, leather, and boards. The system teleported them away and congratulated them for clearing the 5th floor. It added that daily dungeons were now open and urged them to gather materials to improve their settlement and their heroes. Their remaining weapons were transferred into the waiting room. The girl collapsed in shock. Islet stood silent, trying to process everything. His breath came heavy and ragged. Nate, wounded but alive, was among the survivors. Jenna looked at him, surprised, then burst into tears and laughter at once. Islet remained motionless until she, trembling, reached for his hand. "Will you give me your hand? I can't stand," she asked. Islet helped her up. The two confirmed with a stunned relief that they had survived. Islet explained the waiting room and that the floor had been cleared. Jenna asked what would happen on the next floors. He answered that their case had been unusual. Picking up his broken blade, he lectured that on these missions the group's survival depended on each person's actions. If a few of their teammates had been stronger, things might have turned out differently. For a well-coordinated team, such runs were usually manageable. They had simply been unlucky. The group left the waiting room. A boy ran up to them, smiling. Khlo had prepared food. When asked where the others were, he assumed they were still inside. Islet answered flatly they were dead. The boy froze in a stupor. Later, an announcement called the heroes into the master's chamber. Exhausted, Islet flung himself face-first into a pillow. He felt numb. The deaths had ceased to shock him the way they once might. Conquering the tower made death ordinary, and that coldness frightened him more than grief. He remembered the new skill he'd gained, Berserker. He mused that Berserker and his usual cold-blooded calm were incompatible. Perhaps a bug, he thought, unless it was because he was part hero and part something else, half-master. There was still much to learn, but not tonight. He closed his eyes and told himself, more work starts tomorrow. For now, rest. Dawn took them to the training ground. Jenna practiced fiercely. Islet noticed she normally slept until noon but had come early because she wanted to live. Watching her wield the blade, he realized how talented and dedicated she was. Nate, meanwhile, seemed unrewarded for his effort. Islet, doing handstands, mused that his current ceiling was skill level 5. 3-star heroes typically reached that level quickly, but a system notification told him his level had jumped to 9. He was on the cusp of the 10-point cap and a 2-star promotion. Jenna pawed his torso teasingly. He swatted her hand away and asked what she was doing. She grumbled that his muscles weren't even tired yet. When she mentioned Nate hadn't shown up, Islet said he needed time alone. He recognized that Nate and another friend trained earlier and harder than most. Compared with them, the others were merely playing at heroism, busy only when the master watched. Islet judged that their friends had potential but hadn't had time to reveal it, so their deaths, while brutal, were not entirely unforeseen. Jenna suggested they return to training. Then Nate arrived, upset. He confessed that if he had been a little stronger, the others might have survived. Islet's voice was flat. They died because they were weak, nothing more. It was a hard truth, and the others in camp felt its weight. By now, Islet had spent roughly a month here.